basale kaya. Tela basa siyes. Yes. Amandla. Amandla. Siyabonga mphathi wohlelo Ms. Molai. Siyafisa ukubingelela ngenkulu inhlonipho kumphathiswa wezokusebenza ngokubambisana kanye nobuholi bomdabu uDokotela uDlamini Zuma. Sibingelele kozakwethu MEC Sithole Moloi, MEC Bani Mapena. Sibingelele kuMeya waseThekwini, Mayor Kaunda. We also wish to acknowledge the coordinator, Motumen, the deputy coordinator, Kolati, the whole of the national executive, as well as the interim committee of the military veterans, the board and the executive committee of the newly formed military veterans, members of APLA, Azanla, and all other military veterans forces. Director General Dr. Mkhize, nabo bonke abasebenzi bakahulumeni abakhona bakwamasipala nabaseThekwini. Sifisa ukubingelela ubuholi bonke obulapha endlini bamaqhawe ethu omzabalazo. We wish to express our sincere appreciation for this invitation. We are always moved by pride and glory wherever we get an opportunity to engage with the combatants, our commissars, the veterans of our liberation movements. We really feel privileged to be part of this national convention, which comes merely days before Mkhonto Wesizwe, the gallant instrument, spear and the shield of our revolution, turns a historic 61 years. It was on the 16th of December, 1961, when Mkhonto Wesizwe was launched as an armed wing of the African National Congress, formed and sharpened at the brimstone of the terrain of struggle. The formation of the MK on the same day on which the Afrikaners were defeated by the Zulu army in the Battle of Blood River was at the time the clearest and the boldest declaration from our people that the people will never allow those who had won illegitimate and racist wars to ever rest until we were free. We can never be tired of celebrating the heroic exhibitions of the gallant soldiers and fighters of Mklwv Summit and all other military veterans, and your leading role in ensuring that we finally defeated the apartheid regime and established a genuinely free and democratic South Africa, albeit there's still a long way to go towards realizing real economic freedom for the majority of the people of this country. As our freedom fighters, you remain our moral conscience to guide us to never get that freedom was hard-won, and it was won to benefit the masses of our people, especially the poor and the vulnerable. That this freedom was won when a number of lives were lost, when a number of families lost their family members. Lapho kwasala khona intandane eziningi, kwasala abafelokazi, kwasala imindeni ingenabo abazali bayo ngenxa yomkhonto wesizwe nawo wonke amasosha omzabalazo ayilwela lenkululeko esikhuluma ngayo lapha namhlanje. As government of KwaZulu-Natal, we are committed to ensuring that Liberation War veterans are given the necessary care and support to lead a decent life. We are, as government, are addressing the fragmentation in the implementation programs and the lack of accountability by many of our departments and our government in the interventions that they are making and in the support that they are making for our military or our Liberation War veterans. All our provincial departments have appointed or are in the process of appointing dedicated personnel that will focus on the support of the liberation veterans. Our departments have been asked to facilitate and establish across government and industries that can leverage and assist our liberation veterans to access the opportunities, markets, and the services that are available. Through various economic empowerment programs, esiwabonayo ukuthi kufanele siwenze ukuthi akhulume ngqo kulo mhlahlandlela wokuthi kukuphi ekufanele sikwenze okubambakalayo kokusupporta ama-military veterans wethu. When I peruse the agenda ekhona kulezi insuku sobe sihlangene ngayo la as military veterans, I was really impressed ukubona umsebenzi omkhulu ozokwenziwa la lapho njengoba eshilo omunye wama leaders ukuthi ama-veterans don't want handouts, but they want hand up, so that they are able to do things for themselves with the support of government. The agenda demonstrates a keen interest in the growth sectors that are new in the industries. And inathi njengekwaZulu-Natal, amaningi walama industries azobe khulunywa la, nemnyango yethu ezobe ikhona izokwazi futhi ukuthi size ekucaciseni ngqo ukuthi singakwazi kanjani ukwa-access ama-opportunities. Of course, as a province, we always say that we have a lot of possibilities that are there for us to be able to benefit our communities, such as the hemp industry that we have not even started to explore, the green energy, the agro-processing, the ICT, and indeed many other opportunities in the digitization and the fourth industrial revolution. Siyafisa mphathi wohlelo ukusho ukuthi we have identified the ICT economy njenge-economy okuyiyona esibona sengathi izimakethe eziningi ziyayidinga i-knowledge ye-ICT. But also sibonile ukuthi amathuba amaningi azovela ekutheni si-explore those opportunities that are available through the ICT. In the past few days, we've been launching various programs on the ICT. Njenge-program yokuba nama digital lab in different areas, where sifisa ukuthi kutrainwe khona ama-data scientists, ama-data analysts, as well as other ICT practitioners. Siphinde sathula iprogram yethu yokufundisa abantwana bethu abamnyama kakhulukazi ukuthi bangene kulomkhakha waka-aviation. From the previous program esibe nayo, where we had put our students through the aviation schools, 2 of them already are working with the Fly South Air, flying the flights from the Fly South Air. The other 2 are working with the Lift Airlines. Esifisayo ukuthi lo mkhakha waka-ICT ngoba isikhathi esiningi omunye imkhakha le yaka-ICT ayidingi ngisho ama-qualifications noma ukuba no-matric ukuze ukwazi ukufundela kulo mkhakha. Njengomkhakha wama-drones, okuwumkhakha omkhulu odingwa zinkampani eziningi, whether inkampani ze-insurance, whether inkampani zakwa-health, whether inkampani zakwa-transport, and many other industries, banking industry, agriculture, a number of industries, they need drone pilots. And ngihlale ngigcizelela ukuthi at least mawuzoba i-drone pilot, awudingi nanokuthi ube no-matric or any other qualification except ukuthi uhambe uyokufundela ukwazi ukuthola i-pilot license and then ukwazi ukusebenza kulo mkhakha. Izinkampani eziningi zibonile ukuthi uma kungaqhashwa ama-drone pilots amaningi, including nathi esihlala la KwaZulu-Natal, which is a coastal province, we have a huge seashore eqala le eMkhanyakude iziyoshaya ngapha ko-Kokstad eHerigwala. Okuyisisho kufanele ngabe siya-explore ngama-opportunities amaningi akhona laphayana esingakaqali ngisho ukuqala ukungena kuleyo mkhakha yakhona, including njengoba ngisho ama-drones, because with the drones we can even be able to patrol our seas. We can even be able to rescue people during the times when they are swimming and they need rescue. So siyafisa ukuthi our military veterans nawo kube khona mhlambe ama-programs azogxila ngqo ekutheni iziphi mhlambe ama-programs esinawo angangena kuwona ama-military veterans, particularly la kwi-ICT industry. Right now we were talking to the elderly people nge-weekend, sibafaka nabo ukuthi abantu abadala bangakwazi ukuthi bayitholele imali behlele emakhaya ngokuthi nje bafakelwe i-Wi-Fi connector. And with that Wi-Fi connector uyakwazi ukuthi abantu bakhokhe kuwena ubadayisele i-airtime uhlele ekhaya ungazange uye ndawo. And those are many opportunities ezikhona njengamanje ezingaka explore na idlanzana labantu abakhona lapha kwaZulu Natal. Kuma department noma iminyango ekhona lapha kwi province eyakwa transport, we received a report yokuthi the department has included compulsory subcontracting at 35% on all contracts from the minimum value of 10 million in order to advance the participation of the designated groups. We want to concretely report that the awards to the Military Veterans Association-owned entities were validated through our CSD, as well as the orders that were issued by the department during the 21-22 financial year. Quarter 1, the Department of Transport procured and awarded 5 MVA entities to the total of 9.5 million. Quarter 2, the indirect procurement that was awarded to 2 MVA entities to the total of 4 million. In the quarter 3, the direct procurement awarded to 5 entities of the MVA entities to the total of 21.4 million. In the quarter 4, the direct procurement were awarded to 3 MVA entities to the total of 2 million. Lezi ezinye zezibonelo sifisa ukuzikhombisa ukuthi sifisa ukuthi ama department uma reporter noma accounta kube nezinto ezibambekayo ukuthi yini esiyenzile nini. Kodwa ngaphezulu kwalokho njengoba sishilo ukuthi how do we make sure that these are MVA entities? It's through the CSD government. The department also awarded 14 contracts to the military veterans-owned entities that are women-owned to the total of 31 million in this financial year. The department also, through the training and mentorship program, also offered a specialized training to MVA so that they are able to take the opportunities akhona with Department of Transport. The Department of Agriculture and Rural Development had 8 military veterans beneficiaries project to the value of 5.7 million in the last 2 quarters. Siyafisa ukuthi sikubalule ukubaleka kokuthi sonke singene kulomkhakha weagriculture ngoba kuyabonakala ukuthi ngendlela ukudla okubiza ngayo futhi kuyabonakala ukuthi the prices of food are going to continue to rise as we are also experiencing the global wars or the global conflict. And into ebuhlungu ngathi singabantu balapha eMzansi is that we are buying almost 90% of our food outside of this country. And we're buying lokhu kudla using ama-dollar nama-euros. And yet, we have so much land, kakhulukazi lapha kwaZulu Natal. Siyafisa ukuthi ngempela sibone ukuthi yini eyenza ukuthi singakwazi ukuzitshalela ukudla kwethu esizokudla siphinde futhi sikudayise emazweni angaphandle. Njengamanje sikwazile ukukhuluma neinkampani ezinjengo Tiger Brands, ezinjengo Unilever, ngenhloso yokuthi sifuna ukuthi amanye ama commodities noma ezinye izinto abayidayisayo sikwazi ukuthi siyitshale la kwaZulu Natal. Ngesikhathi esidlulile bebekwazile ukuthi basinikeze ama commodities awu 30 angama spices asetshenziswa lapha yakwa Unilever, and you can imagine ukuthi just even 5 wama spices uma ngase siqale ukwenza ingakanani value chain that would be available nomnotho esingawu creator, because here you're talking about things like abo parsley or abo green pepper and many other spices esizisebenzisayo emakhaya. But you're not only talking about sichala, but you're also talking about the value chain, yama trucks that will be needed as logistic to transport those goods. You're also talking about the drivers, you're talking about abalimi abaningi, you're talking about the manufacturing value, bottling, nomi packaging, yalokho kudla esizobe sikugaya, as well as all other value chain that will be available if singakwazi ukuthi siyitshalele sikwazi ukudayisa lama products with the industries that we have. Tiger Brands, naye, when we confronted them, not a single commodity yabo ephuma KwaZulu-Natal, they started to say, well, give us white small beans. And they wanted about 500,000 tons of white small beans. Losu udlayo kuthiwa tomato beans. We couldn't get anybody otshala small white beans. And it was to a value of 100 million, that contract they were giving us. Just to show ukuthi angakanana amathuba akhona esingawathathi. Kodwa ke siye sakhulumisana nabo ukuthi sisafisa ukuthi si explore lo daba lokuthi siba supply ngalama product including wheat as well as umbila. Department of Agriculture ke usebenza kakhulu ukuthi asupporte abalimi eyintweni zenyama, ukutshala, ogandaganda, imbewu, nanokuthi basinikeze abantu abazosiza ukuthi kulomhlaba yini esingayitshala, kulomhlaba yini esingayitshala ivume. Department of Agriculture, the vegetable and grain support to our military veterans, the beneficiaries benefited from the construction of our tunnels and the production units in the financial year 2020-21. The beef production support to our military veterans beneficiaries of 75 Boran cows and 3 Boran bulls were given to the military veterans companies. In the crop production, the support that was given through the fencing wamasimu, tractors, as well as the support yama extension officers. The Department of Health was able to successfully get 40 military veterans that were successful ukuthi bangene ku database bakwazi ukuthi bathole ukuhambela izibhedlela zethu free, and siyafisa ukuthi le list ikwazi ukuba khona kwa Department of Health ukuze ama military veterans angakhokhi ezibhedlela zethu. Department of Education ikwazile nawo ukuthi kwi database esinayo 44 that are in the database that were able to be verified and that were supported to register with UNISA, as well as the education program yama colleges. Social development, 600 military veterans accessed the food vouchers per month from the Social Security Agency, USASA. During the festive season, the Department of DSD will continue with this program that has benefited every year military veterans from Mklwv, APLA, Azandla, and will continue to ensure that we utilize the database that is available to us. Njengamanje, umnyango waka DSD senze isiqiniseko sokuthi kwi-database yama-military veterans sikwazi ukuthi uma kukhona bashiya emhlabeni bakwazi ukuthi basupportwe ngokugcwele. The history and the heritage legacy. 16 heritage and legacy events were supported in different municipalities, and the last two events that were held in the Inc. Area were also supported. Siyafisa ukugcizelela ukuthi ukusebenza kwethu with the military veterans depend on the database that we are given, that we have, everifyiwe nesikwazile ukuthi sifake kwi-CSD noma kwi-database ka-government kwenzele ukuthi sikwazi uku-accounta ukuthi yes, napa ba-registered kwi-database and ibona ngempela abasupportwayo. Zikhona ke inhlelo zikahulumeni eziningi ezikhona zokuthi siqhubeke nokusupporta ama-programs, kodwa esingagcizelela mphathi wohlelo nakuyona yonke le summit ukuthi we stand ready to help ensure that kuwo wonke ama-department siya-accountwa simnyango ehlukahlukene ukuthi yini esiyenzayo nanokuthi sibhale phansi. Ngizwile ukuthi abanye babuza ukuthi obani, ikhona that information because ithathwa lapha ya kwi-CSD database. We also know that i-government yethu has got a number of challenges, and isihlale sikusho ukuthi siyazi ukuthi maningi ama-talent akhona kuma-military veterans wethu. Sihlale siney'nkinga zokwenza ama-social facilitation nabantu abangamentorisha ulusha lwethu, nabantu ngama-leaders. Siney'nhlelo ey'ningi ezifana nesibaya samadoda, iy'nhlelo ey'ningi lapho abantu besilisa esifisayo ukuthi bakhulise abantu besilisa basebancane ukuze sinqande ukubhebhetheka kwe-gender-based violence. Ngoba siyazi ukuthi ama-military veterans are very disciplined, but also they can help us as government ukwazi ukuthi si-instille i-discipline kulusha lethu. As in both business and war, the importance of knowledge superiority in terms of understanding strengths and weaknesses are what we understand as crucial accolades of our military veterans. We also would like to appeal that uma ngabe isakhiwo sama-military veterans sikhona, sikwazi ukuthi naso sibheke ukuthi lezi zinto esikhuluma ngazo nanokuthi lezi zinto esithi siyazenza zikuphi ukuze uma kunemhlangano ikwazi ukuthi bekhona i-transparency, ngoba akulungu uma ngabe ingekho i-transparency. So as you engage this morning, you will be exposed to many opportunities that will enable you to move from being liberation guerrillas to being corporate guerrillas, who would help us to achieve the next phase of the transition in the economic liberation. Ntambama sihlelile ukuthi emva komsebenzi wenu onzima nikwazi ukuthi niyophumula laphaya olwandle, nishaya amabhrayi nezinto ezimnandi. Emva kokuthi senwenzile umsebenzi onzima enizoba nawo namhlanje. Siyabonga.
Bahlale bethi azilungi izinto zamakhomanda azilunge. Okay, this time sosishintsha ke manje le slogan. Sizothi ziyalunga. So azilungi izinto zamakhomanda azilunge. Hayibo. Angizwa kahle. Azikalungi, ziyalunga. Hayi. Asaye beach ke. Okay, zama kokugcina masingashongo kahle asiye beach. Azilungi izinto zamakhomanda azilunge. Ay siyabonga. Thank you very much. Njoba kade ngilokho ngisondela la. Ngithe yabona ukuba i-government official. Kusasele sengiyasaba ngithi hey uzomisa uNtunduna enkulu. That's a career limiting move. Kodwa fortunately angisekho. Hey bayathanda ibeach abanye abantu bo. Kodwa ukho item konje item bani item 17 hayi awukho. Cha asiwenzi nje futhi nogwaye asiwufuni. Angithi asibhemi asiphuze. Okay. All right, masiqale kanje ngicela sibonge siyabonga comrade Nomusa. There are two things engizocela nje kancane nami ukuziphawula ngoba ngase ngaphinde ngithole leli thuba. The first one ukhulumile ngizwile abantu bethi obane and wasechaza futhi uPremier ukuthi lento le ithathwa kwi CSD database. At some point sasike sa engage nje sikhuluma nama department nama officials akwi department lento DMV bathe nabo bathuka kabi bethola ku report ukuthi so many military veterans companies get this and then now kuyacaca ukuthi I CSD ngoba there's no verification lapha kwi CSD. So into kumele siyenze even as an outcome yalana njengoba kade us-encourage ukuthi asebenzise ICT ukuthi sibonthi ahlangana kanjani, how do these talk, kumele ikhulume nelento ne-database yase DMV. Now ngiyazi into ezosho nje okokuqala ama-comrades azothi kodwa abantu abaverifyiwe nani i-process leyo ekhona kodwa kusalayo asizitshela ukuthi ama-systems zonke ayakhuluma khona sokwenza sure. But bese ngithi futhi i-intention yale Military Veterans Development Agency ekuzokhulunywa ngayo namhlanje. Part of it izolauncha i-market platform, but it's a system ukuthi ama-comrades azo-register iy'nkampani zawo. Again, sokwenza sure ukuthi kune-verification. So all the systems have to talk. And then, but also promote transparency because you'll just log on, bazo demonstrate at some point or bazo kulumangai. But at least those are all the ways and means okwenza show ukuthi silungisa some of these ama gaps akhona. Le ASB engizoyisho ngicela usizo kini nonke Minister, Premier, MECs. Mhlambe into kumele idiscusswe futhi even nakuma min-max. Kwi departments land reform, i-department ye agriculture, rural development and land reform. You know, in a program ye land reform, kuleyo program they've decided ukuthi sekunama quotas ukuthi 50% of the land will go to women, 40% of the land will go to youth, 6% of the land will go to people with disabilities. There is nothing set for military veterans. Now, Military veterans are a designated group as well. But besides, can you imagine we went and fought? The very same people who fought, who even fought for this land, ababalwa nokubalwa. I mean, masikhuluma ngomuntu omnyama nomhlaba, sikhuluma nge-dignity. Now, tina eyethi dignity ayikho, so isicelo nje leso esi-serious. And leyo ngiyiraisiswa yini i-importance ye-agriculture uPremier akhulume ngayo. It's so important, but we also know makungenamhlaba singakhuluma nje. Makungenamanzi singakhuluma nje, but sizoba nayo umuntu wase-water affairs. No, ibizwa nje water and sanitation. Uzoza azositshela nokuthi water licensing rights zonke lezi zinto zihamba kanjani. Kodwa nje ngicela siphakamise le ndaba yomhlaba. In fact, maybe it needs to be a resolution that comes here, but we are just pleading with our comrades in government to please help and raise this thing very, very sharply. Thank you very much. So, ngibonile bevuma ngamakhanda and ngiyabathemba. Ngiyabathemba abantu besifazane bathembeke kabi. Anginamanga. So, sesizokwenza ke manje sizocela uComrade Nkosazana, uMinister uDr Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma. Sicela simsukumise ngengoma kuqala as she comes up. Ambeni webafana, ibambeni wezinsi. Kwenziwa njani? Ngiyalithatha lelo bhantshi.
Amandla. Oh, konje ngizengo government. Okay. Kodwa kuxabana. Program director. Let me greet Osingai, the military veterans from all formations. Also greeting the Umkhonto weSizwe Liberation War veterans and their convener and their executive. I know it's interim, but we want to greet you. Then let me greet Premier Wetu, Comrade Nomusa Dube, or Ambassador Nomusa Dube. Yes, when I was Foreign Minister, I appointed her as Ambassador to Czech Republic. So once an ambassador, always an ambassador. Also greet all the MECs where sports, arts and culture, agriculture, education has just gone to deal with the crisis. Let me greet the mayor, even though he has stepped out, and greet everyone who's here, the officials from different government departments. Well, it's an honor to be here today, especially in this city, because this city has lots of important milestones in the history of our struggle. Not very far from here, there is a place called Kongela. Some of you may not know what that place is. The real name of this place, called Kongela, is Kangela Mankengan, and that was King Shaga's palace. And not very far from here is a place called Nanda, where the first president of the ANC, President Langalbalele Dube. And of course, a bit further, Sinomunyu President, Inkosi Ultuli. So we can mention not very far from here, Dorothy Nyembe lived in Mlazi. So this place has a rich history. But also, Premier did say that discussions about Mklwv Summit. But from 1973, also some of us will remember that the workers' strike that started here at Coronation, that really shook the country and began to light up the consciousness that was beginning to flag, and motivated a lot of us, that led to 1976 and so on. But let me just say that, inspired by the generations of Mklwv Summit, which was inspired itself by the Freedom Charter as well. And I want to quote something from the Freedom Charter that I think is very relevant to what we're doing today. And that's, amongst others, the Freedom Charter declared that the national wealth of our country, the heritage of all South Africans, shall be restored to the people, and all people shall have equal rights to trade where they choose, to manufacture and enter all trades, crafts, and professions. And of course, MK veterans must be able to trade, to manufacture, to enter professions, as the Freedom Charter said. But also, we know that MK veterans have a special place in the history of this country. And I just want to quote our late commander, President O.R. Tambo, when MK was celebrating 25 years, and he had this to say: "Let us today accord proper place and recognition to the generant of MK, who we know as Umgwenya, who by force of circumstances and to the face of such diversity became the core of our regrouping and the torchbearers of our revolution. With superhuman dedication to the cause of our people, they held aloof our dream and lived with only one purpose in mind: to get back into our country, to be enjoyed once more in the bosom of people whose servants we are, and to pursue the revolution. That's what he said about MK. And that's what MK indeed was, with superhuman dedication to the cause of our people. So it must demean all of us, it does. In fact, as Mklwv was talking, I was feeling the pain when he was saying, you are on your own. Obviously, telling the story of MK military veterans and general military veterans, and it must demean all of us. But MK veterans, again, quoting from our commando OR, said, "It is inconceivable for liberation to have meaning without a return of the wealth of the country to the people as a whole. To allow the existing economic forces to retain their interest intact is to feed the roots of racial supremacy and exploitation, and does not represent even the shadow of liberation." So clearly, until you are part and parcel of the mainstream of the economy, until you have a decent life, we cannot really say we are liberated. We can only say the struggle continues. Now, I have a disadvantage talking after the Premier because I come from a non-implementing department. I only come from a coordinating department. So I will not list a litany of things that we are doing as COCTA in terms of individual projects that refer to MK veterans. But as a coordinating department, this summit will be something that we'll have to take to the different departments so that they can be part and parcel of implementing the resolutions of this summit. I will also take what Program Director Nonkonzo said about land to the Minister of Agriculture. Unfortunately, I was just appointed a few days ago to come here as I'm acting Minister of Agriculture. I'm acting in Togo's place. So she is abroad at the moment. So I'll have to tell her that I committed the department to certain things. And I'm committing to take to her as a resolution that MK and military veterans generally are entitled to land like everybody else. Actually, we're all entitled to land because what can you do without land? You can't even have a house. You can't have a house, you can't have a business, you can't have a school, you can't have anything without land, even before you go to land for agriculture. So land is a centerpiece for every activity, and it's an asset that really all human beings should have access to. And of course, that's why the colonizers, when they came, the first thing they took was land, because they knew that land was what you need for development. And for themselves, they felt that they had to take our land. And you, as military veterans, fought so that that land can come back to the rightful people. So it's inconceivable that you can be excluded. So I think it was an oversight from whoever was putting up that list. But today, my short period of being acting Minister of Land and Agriculture, I commit. Well, the question that we are about here is really about the welfare, economic participation, and economic participation of veterans, amongst other things. And I think we don't need to go far. There are countries around us that we can use as case studies who have done a lot for military veterans. Zimbabwe, Namibia, Mozambique. We can go to Vietnam, our friends. So I think we need not to be seen as if we're inventing the wheel. Others have implemented programs that you are just asking us to implement. You're not asking for charity, you are not asking, and I think it's something that we ought to be ashamed that we have not done enough. And I'm sure all of us who are here and those who are not here do feel that we have to do more. And of course, as COGTA, we in government have realized that we spend a lot of money as government, but the impact on the ground is not commensurate to the amount of money we spend. And part of that is because we do it in silos. And if we do it in silos, the impact is not felt on the ground. So that's why, as government, we have decided that we can't continue working in silos. We have to break the horizontal silos, because the silos in government are not just between governments. Sometimes they are even within a department. You get silos even within a department. So we have to break those silos. We also have to break the vertical silos between the spheres and work together. And that's why we then went for what we call the district development model, which means in a district, everybody must know what government is doing there, government as a whole. And not just government, but society as a whole. We should know what business is doing in that district, what NGOs are doing in that district, and government as a whole. And also we have realized that actually government can never succeed if local government doesn't succeed. Because the center of the universe of government should be local government. Because that's where people are. They are not at the national, they are not at the province, they are at the local. They experience government and its actions through local. And sometimes they burn their councillor's house for something that somebody at the national department should have done. So that's why it's so important that we must work together. And of course, we are also defining what we think would be an ideal local government. What should we be working towards? Because we can complain, the Auditor General is complaining, everybody can complain, but if we say we're going to have plans to assist local government, to assist them to achieve what? And that's where we then decided that we must define so that as we assist, we know what we are assisting them towards. And of course, when we say local government, we don't mean just the municipality. We mean the geographical space and the people who live there. And we're saying that the people at a local level, one, there should be local economic development. And I'll come back to that in a while. But that the people who live there must live in a decent environment, and they must have human settlements that are resilient and can withstand disasters and calamities. And they must enjoy safety, especially women and children. Because if a place is safe for women and children, it will be safe for everyone. And also education, health, recreation facilities should be easily accessible. They must have access to clean water, dignified sanitation, quality transport, consistent energy, and electricity. Road networks, as well as information, communication, and technology services, as the Premier was saying. And they should be part of the fourth industrial revolution and have access to digitalization and also broadband. But most importantly also, they must be part of a vibrant economy that creates jobs, and they must be part of creating jobs themselves, ensuring that they have sustainable livelihoods and promote inclusiveness. They must have food security, as the Premier was saying, with fruit, vegetables. Why can't we have warm bread in our communities? Why can't we bake bread in our communities? I think we're the only country where we wait for a truck that comes hundreds of kilometers away to deliver bread. We must be able to bake bread in our municipalities. We have government feeds millions of school children every day, and they have to wait for trucks coming with bread from somewhere. Just one example of local economic development and local economic activity, just baking bread. You know, there was some unrest in the Northern Cape some years back, I think it was 2018. And after they closed the roads, the trucks couldn't come in. After 3 days, the communities went complaining that they don't have bread. From Khalishiwe, they didn't have bread because the trucks were not coming in. It's a huge township. We could be able to have a bakery and sell the bread there without waiting for the trucks. But that's how we are, because we are somehow addicted to monopolies. But let me move on. We need stability in those municipalities. But for all those things to happen, we need qualified, skilled, and competent civil servants, but also we need skilled citizens, because all these jobs that we're talking about need skills. So it's very important. And of course, talking to you, your children, grandchildren, need those skills, need that education, need those skills. And of course, for the municipality itself, they need competent leadership, transparent and accountable leadership, which engages citizens. And of course, administration that is competent and can manage the resources and deliver the services. But let me just come back to local economic development. Without local economic development, this country's economy won't grow. We will always have this pedestrian kind of economy. It won't grow. Without local economic development, metros cannot do what they need to do, because they'll always have an influx of people from the rural areas who come to the cities not out of choice, but out of desperation. And then they come, they think they'll find shelter, they'll find water, sanitation. They don't. They end up in Imikuku. And then the metros have to try and just give the bare minimum. So rural development must be bringing infrastructure, urban infrastructure to the rural areas. There must be companies that are based in these rural areas. So we as COGTA feel very strongly about local economic development. But let me also say that we also feel very strongly about the skills revolution. MISA is going to talk later, so I won't dwell on that. But we do give scholarships on areas that affect us, like town planning, engineering, and so on. And maybe MISA must then look at the database of military veterans and see whether we can also get children from the military veterans' families to study that. But we also facilitating working closely together with TVETs, because we have realized that we will need those skills even for local economic development. So we're already working with TVETs like Moteo and 10 others, but we're also working with some of the universities to try and see what kind of skills we can produce. We are also looking at basic skills that municipalities need. You know, some municipalities don't even have sufficient plumbers, boiler makers, and just basic skills, maintenance of roads. So we are linking up with those institutions so that we can get those skills that will assist municipalities. But I cannot really stop talking without talking about what we feel very proud of, that we want to do and started some work. I don't know whether MISA will have the opportunity to talk about it. Ngizoqeda kodwa ngifuna ukukhuluma yeah, ngikubonile, ngithi ngiyabona lapha. I just want to talk about the Eastern Seaboard development. As COGTA, we've said it's 20-something years of freedom. We've never built a single city ourselves. We are expanding, tinkering with cities that were built by apartheid. So we've decided that between Port St. John's and Margate, and between the Indian Ocean and the Drakensberg, in those areas, we are going to have multinodal or polycentric development that will include also building a city or even more than one. That area, I mean, can you believe in a modern country like South Africa, that from Buffalo City, East London to Durban, 600 kilometers, there's no city. No city, no development. And that area is very rich in the history of our struggle, is very rich in our heritage. A lot of our leaders that we quote come from that area. What are they saying where they are when they look that there's nothing happening there? So we've decided to take 4 districts: OR, Tambo, Alfred Nzo, Ugu, and Herigwala. And 3 of those districts, Herigwala, Ugu, and OR, are amongst the 10 poorest districts in this country. So we've decided that we're going to have development there. It's beautiful coastline, flora and fauna, fertile land for agriculture. There's nothing, tourism, there's nothing there that you can't find. In the Eastern Seaboard, you don't even have one big fishing company. The big fishing companies are on the West Coast, not here. So those are some of the things we want to do. So all we would want to say in the limited time before Nonkonzo comes is that let's partner. Give us partners, because we have the CWP program, which we want to remodel. We want to remodel CWP instead of those CWP workers lying on the side of the road, just cutting grass and all that. We want to remodel it so that we train them, we train them into co-ops, they start businesses, agriculture. You know, here in KZN, we import more than 1 million goats a year from outside KZN. More than 1 million goats a year. Why can't we keep those goats ourselves? But we've never thought of goats as a source of wealth. We only think of goats as a database to communicate with the ancestors. They are a big source of wealth. There's even a market outside for export. Goats, you get milk, you can do goat cheese, you get meat, you get leather, you can start a big leather tanning and leather industry. You get wool from Angora goats and you can start a big weaving. So just that one product, a goat, you can do so many things. So those are the things that we are planning now as COGTA as we try to remodel CWP. So please partner with us. You can also give us ideas. We don't have the monopoly of ideas. So if after your summit, you can give us 1 or 2 people who must work with us, then we will see how we also contribute to you becoming self-sufficient and having a decent, dignified life without having to depend on government. I thank you.